What is it that you just remember most about her and her classroom? And again, you keep in touch with your third grade teacher.
Yeah.
And it's like that in itself, I think, says so much about that relationship.
Yes. I just remember loving being there. I remember doing certain activities still just like it was yesterday. And she was just funny, and she used to buy us Mountain Man candy gumballs when we did great jobs. And she had the whole class over for a barbecue at the end of the year that year. So I don't think that that's typical teacher behavior. She just made all of us feel so loved and just like her own kids. So
Jen, when you wrote that Jane saved you when you were in third grade, what was that about?
Going on. So I had told you that had been my fourth school in 4 years. And my mom had recently moved away, and I had just moved to Buena Vista to live with my aunt and uncle at the time. So it was kind of like a tumultuous time, and I just was feeling a little bit lost at that time. And I'm pretty sure she probably knew that and picked that out and probably gave me the extra TLC that I needed at that time. But I think I needed somebody.
So I always say kids come to school for two reasons: to learn and to be loved. Yeah. And it's what are some of the things that you remember about being in her class that you've carried over now as an educator yourself?
Oh gosh, well, I really tried. You said that I have to be patient with kinders, and I've done K through 3. Kinder is where my heart is, and I just have taken time, especially the last few years, I think, to just slow down and enjoy them more. And yes, there's still expectations, and there's still so much we have to get done, even more now. But I just slow down and I try to connect. And so if their families need things, I help them.
Hannah Ramirez, please come up to the front office.
The announcements.
Right.
School. Even though it's 3:30, you're still in school right now.
Oh, the kids left literally 5 minutes before we got on.
So Jamie's in the chat, so here's what we're going to do. She doesn't know why we're here, so we're going to talk to her about teaching. You're going to turn off your camera because she won't be able to see you. And then I'm going to give you a little cue when we tell her this is why you're really here. If somebody wanted to just share something with you. And then you're going to come on and we're going to have you share kind of what she meant to you.
And I think
we'll see you in a few minutes.
Okay, so camera off?
Yes, camera off.
And mic off?
No, your mic could be on. You're fine. Unless, she won't notice, I'm sure.
Okay, thanks.
All right, we'll see you in a few minutes. All right, Ken, ready?
Oh, we're set.
Can you hear us?
Now I can.
Okay. Hello.
Hi, I'm Jane.
Jane, I'm Nick Ferroni. I teach high school history in New Jersey.
And
awesome.
I'm Ken Fiedrich. Nice to meet you, Jane. I used to teach 5th grade, and then I taught at the university level for about 30 years, working with teachers and preparing new teachers. And now I host a podcast called Teacher Stories. And we also invite people to submit appreciations about teachers that are making a difference in their lives. But we're kind of orienting doing this around Teacher Appreciation Week, and that's why we wanted to talk with you.
We just wanted to kind of ask you a few questions and share your obviously expertise. And if you don't mind, in reference to kind of just sharing about what it's like being a teacher, about why we do what we do, why we've done it for so long. And the fact you are an elementary school teacher, you are my hero because my elementary school teachers were my heroes. I will be honest, being a high school teacher, I get immediate gratification. I get to see my students prosper right away. You kind of have to wait a few years before they grow up, before you can kind of see all the great work that you did. But how long were you are you retired now, Jane?
I am retired from the classroom, but I'm not retired from teaching ever.
Oh, okay. How many years were you in the classroom?
35.
35. Like thousands and thousands of students have been in your classroom.
I would say, yeah, that's about accurate.
So
it wasn't my classroom. It was our classroom.
Our classroom. So why did you choose to go into education? What was your reasoning becoming a teacher?
my wanting to be a teacher started in kindergarten. My background and home life is different, but my kindergarten teacher, Mrs. Gentry, was so kind and so caring and so understanding, and did so many things that made learning fun. And I knew from the time she sat down at the piano and played Dumbo the Elephant and we sang that I was going to teach. I have never, ever varied from that.
Did you ever have a chance to go back and thank her?
I'm sorry?
Did you ever have a chance to go back and thank that teacher that made such an impact on your life?
Oh, absolutely. More than once. She was actually, I was caring for my own mother who was in a retirement home in the town I grew up in, and Mrs. Gentry was there. So I would leave my mom's room and I would go see Mrs. Gentry until she died.
Now, in your 35 years in the classroom, Janie, what is it you loved most about your job? What are those moments that you kind of reflect on and think about and smile?
Well, first of all, I have to correct your question to answer your question, because it wasn't a job. Teaching's not a job. Teaching was a joy. It wasn't a job and I felt like I had to go to work. Teaching was a privilege, and I was just lucky to make a little bit of money doing it, but I never considered it a job. A career, maybe, not a job.
Jane, what was it that sustained you for all of those years in this calling that you had? Why did it make a difference to you that you were able to be a teacher?
All those children. And I think that a lot of it had to do with, I grew up a second and an only child. I had a brother who was 17 years older than I, and no other kids in between. So I was virtually an only child with older parents. And I wasn't around kids. I grew up in an adult world. Therefore, I wanted to be around kids the rest of my life. And this is how I could do it and how we could have fun.
Now, obviously, you've said how much of an impact your kindergarten teacher had on you. And I was telling Ken before, after 30 years, I surprised my kindergarten teacher after 30 years in person, because I was blessed to have two moms, and she was one of the most profound, kind people I've ever met in my life. And of course, we just started crying and things like that. I can't imagine how many students you've impacted over the years who obviously can say that their career choices are even connected to the person you were as a teacher. So with that in mind, the real reason Ken and I have you here today is not because we want to hear your story. We know a lot about your story. We have somebody who wants to share something with you because of the impact you made on them. And it's someone you know, who chose their field as an educator because of you, because of what you meant to them.
Okay.
Hi.
Jimmy. My little Jenny Sam, no wonder you avoided me.
Yeah,
No wonder you got busy.
So of course I've been wanting to thank you in a big way for the last 35 years, correct? Yes.
But you have.
I know we've kept in touch, and you've still been so important to me. But about a year ago, I had an idea that I wanted to thank you in a big way, and it just didn't happen with COVID stuff. So I had written a letter and then got in touch with these guys, and they are giving us the opportunity for me to read that to you. And thank you from the bottom of my heart for changing my whole entire life. Okay? So would you like to hear it?
Yes.
Okay, and we'll try to do this without being a mess. Okay, so it says, Dear Mrs. Malmquist, I wanted to take the time to tell you that you've been an integral part of my life. I cannot remember a teacher before you or after you. I had just moved in with my aunt and uncle for the year. I was missing my mom. I was scared. I was shy, and I was starting my 4th school in 4 years. I don't remember the first days or weeks, but I do remember learning to love my school and my friends, you and myself. You were a brand new teacher, young and beautiful and funny, energetic, kind and loving. I quickly grew to admire you. I remember learning multiplication and writing stories about leprechauns and making Christmas ornaments and earning weekly gumballs from the mountain man if we had a good week. However, the most important things I learned from you, I carried with me long after being in your class. You somehow taught me that just because my circumstances were different from my peers, gotta open it up. I still mattered. You taught me to believe in myself, and I started to see myself as a learner, but more than that, to see myself as an important part of a community. My hunch is that you made all of your students over the next few years feel exactly the same. I remember looking forward to going to school to see things through your optimistic eyes. You lit up when we walked into your room, and even when you were redirecting us, you did that with love and humor every day. You treated us like your own children, and you still refer to us as your kids. You taught me not to take things so seriously, and everything didn't have to be perfect. We were allowed to make mistakes and learn from them, and we were allowed to be 8-year-olds. So now, years later, I get to teach some of these things to my own students. I decided not long after being in your class that I was going to be a teacher, because how could I not? You were one of the first positive female role models, and I couldn't wait to do what you did. I'm not a perfect teacher, but I hope my kids leave me the way that I felt in your class. I want them to know that everything that I do for them that year is what I do for them. I want them to know that I cherish every time that they learn a new skill. I hurt when they hurt. I think about them at night when they're with their own families. I want to know what they're involved in on the weekends, and I want to know how they're doing years after they leave me. I love being invited to their parties and their graduations and their weddings, like you. I didn't learn the best teaching practices or maybe even the best pedagogy, but I learned how to love my kids. And somewhere along the way, I heard the quote from James Comer that no significant learning happens without a significant relationship, and no truer words have ever been spoken. So I want to thank you for guiding me and believing in me when I didn't even know how to believe in myself. And my hope is that I have had the same impact on my students, and that I will be someone's Mrs. Malmquist. So thank you.
And we've heard it you. Thank you.
You're welcome.
I love you. Thank you. What you don't, I think you realize it now. I didn't just teach you. You all taught me.
Right.
No. And I hadn't been a mother before. And you helped me learn how to be a mom as well. Thank you.
You're welcome. I love you.
I love you too.
Now, Janie, obviously, again, thank you for sharing that, Jennifer. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
But now, obviously, again, I wish I had both of you as an educator, so I can't imagine how blessed your students are to have you. But Janie, how does that feel knowing that obviously it's the ripple effect? I always say when you teach a kid, you teach their kids, their grandkids, and their great-grandkids. But obviously you keep in touch knowing that she's the person she is because you played a significant role. So how does that feel?
It feels warm and wonderful.
You still remember her 8-year-old self right now? Do you still picture her 8-year-old self in your head?
I still call her Jenny Sams. Yeah, I still see my little Jenny Sams. And I see her, and I see her pictures on Facebook, and I've seen her a couple times in person over the last few years, but I just see that little girl who I loved dearly, and I know she loved me. And I still remember going home, like she said, in the evenings and just crying, worried about her and wondering what I could do, what more I could do to help her and make sure she's happy. I think of all those things. I still feel those emotions when I see Jenny or talk to her.
I mean, I can't think of a better way to pay it forward than her doing that, what you did for her students now. I mean, that's the greatest gift she could possibly give anybody, you guys. But thank you again.
Thank you so
Thank
much.
you.
I appreciate
I
it.
just want to say for those watching it, I hope this serves as a reminder that it's worth taking a moment out of your day to write a letter, send an email, or make a phone call to a teacher. It's made a difference because, as Nicholas said, it affects generations.
Well, it's never too early to thank a teacher, but unfortunately, it may be too late one day. And but thank you guys so much. Can you please go home, Jennifer? You should not be in your classroom at this time. Please.
I will go home in a few minutes.
I know. Thank you so much. Have a great day.
Okay, thank you guys
Thank
so
you.
much.
Bye, Jenny. Bye-bye, Jennifer.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.